What's up, Big 12 Nation? It is Tuesday night in America. That can mean only one thing. It's time for another edition of your favorite YouTube-centric college football Big 12 show. That's right. It's the one, it's the only, it's the biggest 12. With me, your host, Clint Foster. Wherever you are, thanks so much for making us a part of your Tuesday nights. And it is West Virginia night. Almost heaven, baby. Here on the Biggest 12, we are back. We're talking all things Mountaineers, and I got two of my favorite Mountaineers in the internet sphere to talk about it with me. But before we get to any of that and the future in Morgantown and the land of Tudor's Biscuits, first I need some things from you. First of all, you need to, don't even do that first, subscribe to the show. Okay, there it is, at Big 12 VOCFB. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel. I need you to do it, okay? So help us get across the finish line here. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, ring the bell. This isn't your first day on the internet. You know what to do. All right, just do the things. Tell your friends, tell your lovers, tell your enemies, tell your neighbors, tell everyone you know about this Biggest 12 experience that is so integral to your surviving week to week, okay? And also, while you're hitting subscribe and follow on places, subscribe to my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Creations. My documentary, if you are in the DFW area, okay, so maybe not all of y'all are watching West Virginia show, but if you're in the DFW area, remember the Alamo Bowl is going to be screened, its first public screening at the Panther City Film Festival on Thursday. All you got to do is go to panthercityfilmfestival.com to get tickets. It's $10, okay, to show up Thursday at 6:20 and watch Remember the Alamo Bowl. Love to see you there for all of you people who are DFW adjacent. Come do that. And it will be released on my channel there. Also, follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55. And make sure that you are catching the Biggest 12 live on your favorite audio platform of choice. We're on every single dadgum one of them. And connect with the Voice of College Football on Twitter and Instagram as well. It's very easy to find at VOCFB. And that's also the name of the website as well. Our brand new website. Holy moly. You got to look at this thing if you haven't yet. Oh, look at it. Oh my gosh. All of this college football content here, helping you survive this oh so long off season. We've also got the full show schedule every single day, so you're never missing your team getting talked about. All of the great conversations. Come on, people, do yourself a favor. Go check out vocfb.com. Okay, so without further ado, let me bring in my two guests. You know him, you love him surely as much as I do. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Mountaineer Paul in the house and Coos of Coos' Corner. Gentlemen, how are you doing on this wonderful Tuesday evening?
Doing well, brother.
Doing good, man.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Well, we're about to talk some Mountaineers and hopefully a bright future here with the return of Rich Rodriguez back to Morgantown. But before we get into any of that, we love to start out our shows here on the Biggest 12 with a little game, okay? And the theme this offseason has been trivia. However, it's something very unique for you, my West Virginia files, okay? We are going to have the John Denver Bowl this fall. We're all very excited about it, West Virginia versus Colorado. So I'm trying to determine here preemptively who deserves to have custody of John Denver. We're not involving Texas Tech here. They, feel like they have a claim. It's just between West Virginia and Colorado. So we are going to play Finish the John Denver Lyric. Paul Coos, are you feeling confident in your knowledge of the discography of John Denver?
I think so, but I guess we'll find out.
We'll try.
Okay. Well, here's spoiler alert. I did this with the Colorado guys. They were 0 for 10. Okay, they did not get a single one. So all you got to do is get one. At least
they didn't set the bar very high.
Yeah, all you got to do is get one of these right, and you have secured custody of John Denver until we settle it on the field. All right, and I feel pretty good about your chances, to be completely honest. Okay. So, song number one, and if you don't know this one, then maybe we just need to shut this whole show down right here. So, Almost Heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there.
Older than the trees.
Older than trees.
Older than the trees. Yes. Younger than the mountains. Blown like a breeze. Look at that. One for one. You've already beaten Colorado. Congratulations. That deserves a clap for you too. All right. So now we're playing for pride now. Just see how much better you are than Colorado. Okay. And this is one that I couldn't believe that they didn't get. But the Colorado Rocky Mountain High. I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. You know he'd be. Colorado,
High.
Rocky Mountain High. I seen it rain and fire in the sky. You know he'd be a what? He'd be a what?
Man, that's such a
know.
sticky song too. You think you would remember the lyrics to that? No idea, bro.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
He'd be a poorer man if he never saw an eagle fly.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
1 for 2. Ain't bad. Ain't bad so far. Okay.
We got the most important one anyway.
That's the most important one. Okay. There's 10 of these. So let's see how we do. Well, I got me a fine wife. I got me old fiddle. When the sun's coming up, I got cakes on the griddle.
Oh gosh. Hold on. Give me a second. I should know this one. Can you repeat it?
Well, I got me a fine wife. I got me old fiddle. When the sun's coming up, I got cakes on the griddle.
life ain't nothing.
Life ain't nothing.
I know the next line.
Yeah.
But I can't think of this line.
Life ain't nothing but a riddle, something like that.
Yeah, life ain't nothing but a funny, funny riddle. And then finish it for us.
Thank God I'm a country boy.
There you
Yeah,
go. All
there we go.
right, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
Hey, that was teamwork.
Yes,
There you
yes,
go.
yes. All right. You fill up my senses like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime.
Yeah, this one I have no clue.
This is Annie's song. This is
I
Love
don't even know if
Ballad.
I've heard this one, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, okay.
I know the one that matters.
Any guesses, Paul?
No guess on that one either, brother.
Like a walk in the rain. You fill up my
Like a
senses
walk in
like
the
a walk in the
rain.
rain. Yes. All right. Got high hopes for y'all to know this one. It was 9 feet high and 6 feet wide, soft as a downy chick. It was made from the feathers of 4011 geese, took a whole boat of cloth for the tick. It'll hold what? What will grandma's feather bed hold?
I sang this song in elementary school in choir, but yet I cannot remember the words. It's probably because I'm 44 years old now. It's been a long time ago.
It was say the lyrics again.
It was 9 feet high and 6 feet wide, soft as a downy chick. It was made from the feathers of 4011 geese, took a whole bolt of cloth for the tick. It'll hold what? It could hold what?
Certain amount of kids. or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yes, a certain amount of kids.
Dude, this is like you're reaching way back into the memory banks here. Oh gosh, Coos. Come on, man.
I got a number in mind, man, but I'm not sure if I'm not real confident in my answer.
Just give it a shot. Give it a shot.
It would hold 10 kids.
8 kids.
Oh.
8 kids and 4 hound dogs.
4 hound dogs. Yeah.
And a piggy we stole from the shed. There you go.
Okay. Man. Wow.
Close. All right. All my bags are packed. I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door. Looks like it's all you, Coos. He left on a jet plane, Paul did.
Can you repeat it,
Yeah.
please?
Sorry about that.
No
All
worries.
my bags are packed. I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door.
Bags are packed. I'm ready to go. Stand around here outside your door. I can't get it. That one's not ringing a bell.
Yeah,
It's
me
leaving
either.
on a jet plane.
Yeah.
What's the next?
Well, that's the name of the song.
The name of the
That ain't
song is
na-
Leave It
That
on
ain't the
Jet
I
next
know.
lyric.
It's just my bags are packed. I'm ready to go.
Standing here outside your door.
I'm sleeping on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Sleeping and I'll never let you go.
So it's I hate to wake you up to say goodbye. That's the lyric.
Okay.
I hate to wake you up to say goodbye. All right.
Are you good at this? Is this like something you're really good at?
I'm just really good at music. I'm
Yeah.
like a human jukebox. I hear a song like twice and I pretty much know the song.
Yeah, not me.
Uh,
I have to hear it
Sunshine.
about 100 times.
Yeah. Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine.
In
What's the
my
last thing
eye.
Sunshine does? What's the last thing Sunshine does?
The last thing Sunshine does is
Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine. What's the last one?
doggone. I don't got this one either, brother.
Sunshine almost always makes me high.
Okay.
Yeah. I could see in your face,
Wow.
Goose. I was like, he's not going to.
Yeah, this is yeah. I thought I knew John Denver songs better than this, man.
All right.
It's just one of those things where it's not something I've listened to currently
Yeah,
You
me
know?
either. Yeah.
as much.
Sure. Yeah. It's a long way from LA to Denver. It's a long time to hang in the sky. It's a long what?
Mm.
This is Starwood and Aspen is the name of the song.
Yeah, I don't know this one.
Okay, you don't. So it's a long way home to Starwood and Aspen.
Okay.
All right. Talk of poems and prayers and promises, things that we believe in. What's the next line? Poems and prayers and promises.
Don't know this one either.
Oh no, that's. Do you know this one, Paul?
Can you say the melody? Is that a problem?
Talk of poems and prayers and promises, things that we believe in.
Gosh, man.
Like overcoming a sinus infection, so I'm not sounding great when I'm singing these melodies.
Oh gosh.
It's not really.
I
my
know
genre.
that song, man. It's like
Next time you need to do like AC/DC or Creed.
something about love or something. I
Nickelback.
can't
Yeah,
remember,
something
man.
about love. How sweet it is to love someone.
Yeah.
How right it is to care. Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, and the
Been
last one
forever.
the last one I have for you. I mean, hey, you got like 3, so you're doing way better than Colorado did. I guess he'd rather be in Colorado. He'd rather spend his.
That's all you're giving us.
But
Yeah.
I guess he'd rather be in Colorado, or else he'd rather spend his time.
Yeah, he'd rather spend his time.
Yeah.
Alone?
You're never gonna get it. So, out where the sky looks like a pearl after the rain.
Oh,
Yes, but there you go. Hey, I'll give you like 3.5. Hey,
Yeah.
that's that's pretty daggum good.
We beat
especially
the guys in Colorado.
You beat
the
I guess
Colorado
I
guys.
guess we won John Denver.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
West
yeah. You
Virginia.
don't
So we
listen
get
to
a-
John Denver that much, so it's it's a victory as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. I don't, Lord. And some of those songs I haven't heard since I was a kid. Some of them I haven't heard at all, and some I haven't heard since I was a kid. So
Listen,
Yeah.
John Denver's underrated. Okay, people need
Yes.
to recognize his discography. Man, a lot of
As a
good stuff.
lyricist, for sure.
Yeah, if you like folk music, especially like old school country folk, very nice. Let's talk about something that y'all are experts in. These West
Yes.
Virginia Mountaineers, okay? And so the big, utterance on everyone's lips is, are the happy days back? Is Rich Rodriguez going to be the guy who brings West Virginia back to regularly competing for conference championships? Dare I say national championships? What's the vibe like, y'all? How confident is Morgantown, and how confident should Morgantown be about this hire?
Paul, you go first, man.
Well, if you let Rich Rodriguez tell it, very. As a matter of fact, he talks about national championships. He's mentioned it on multiple separate podcasts, unsolicited. So he's saying it. I think he was close before. We know that. It's a different time. It's a different era. But I have confidence that we're going to win again. I have confidence that we're going to win conference championships again. I do think we'll get there. I've seen it with this guy, and the culture has already changed. To the point to where kids are expecting to win. Jamori Robinson went on a podcast yesterday, and even he's talking about Big 12 championship, college football playoff. Even if it's not possible for this team, I think they believe it, and that's the kind of confidence of Rich Rodriguez instills in his players. And I'm not trying to down Neil Brown out the door here. I just don't think he did that. For whatever other his faults are, I don't think he instilled the confidence in his players that we are going to win like Rich Rod does. It's totally different kind of dudes. And it's probably not fair to compare Neil Brown really to Rich Rod. Like, I think they're just two different classes of coach. I mean, that's been proven over time. Rich Rod's almost got 200 wins. He took Arizona to BCS game, for God's sakes. This doesn't happen. He took Jacksonville State from the FCS to FBS conference champions in 2 years.
With less talent, by the way,
with way less talent. So he took 60 new players on a roster last year at Jacksonville State, started 0-3, and then won 8 straight games to win the conference championship. So I think he's proven it every time he's been given the opportunity. And he'll tell you, he's been given all the resources, even so far as to he even got to his pick of the litter of defensive coordinators, probably in the country. He was able to go spend $2 million to poach a sitting SEC defensive coordinator that Oklahoma didn't want to lose. They tried to keep him, but they gave Rich Rod enough resources to be able to go get that guy. And it's paying dividends on the defensive side of the ball for sure. I think the talent acquisition is very underrated. It's not going to be with Rich Rod 5-star guys. It's going to be his kind of guys, which was how it was last time. And he wins with his kind of guys. That's just what it is. That's my belief when it comes to Rich Rod. If he gets his guys, he'll win.
Yeah, I mean, the outside noise, nobody is expecting. Nobody. I mean,
no.
The guy who owns this channel did a show today basically saying Rich Rod he has no chance. Basically, shout out to Mark Rogers. I like Mark.
He's a historian,
but Rich Rod is not like any of those other guys. I mean, he's different. Everybody wants to point to that 3-year stint at Michigan when it's literally the least amount of time he has spent at any school. Paul mentioned Arizona, what he did at Jacksonville State. He wins and if Michigan had given him another year, he would have taken that team to a Big 12 championship. I have no doubt in my mind in at least the next 1 to 2 years. But they didn't give him enough time because he wasn't a Michigan man. And is he going to do it in year 1? Maybe not, but I guarantee you by year 2 or 3, he's competing for he's at least in the conversation for a Big 12 championship game. And West Virginia's back to being West Virginia of old, not, winning 8-9 games a year, in my opinion. I'm not going to sit here and, go pie in the sky and say they're going to win the Big 12 every year and anything crazy. But I do think they'll be better. I think they'll be back to the West Virginia of old, back to winning 8-9 games a year with the occasional 10-win season. And again, he's not going to recruit a ton of 5-star guys, but he will find those guys either guys that nobody else wants, or guys who might not be highly recruited, or even guys who may not be playing the same position that he wants them to play because nobody else thinks they can play it. And he'll put them where he wants them, and he'll make them fit into his scheme. And another people don't realize, Rich Rod is one of the brightest offensive minds in the history of college football. Okay. His teams are going to score points. So what that means is all you got to have a defense that can step up and just be decent. You don't even have to be great on defense. You just have to be good to average, and you can win football games with him. And I think
we feel like we got that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's more returning production on the defensive side of the ball than the offensive side of the ball. Actually, when you look at Eddie V and Asani Redwood and Ben Cutter and Reed Carrico,
Hammond Russell,
and he mentioned Jamoy Robinson earlier, the transfer. He's a stud. I mean, it just, I think he's very underrated. Excitement is, brewing around Morgantown. I know that people on the outside are picking West Virginia to finish last, but you know what? That's okay. That's exactly where we want them to pick us. And that's exactly what Zach Alley said the other day. He loves being the underdog, and they will take that chip on their shoulder and ride it to every game. They're going to use it for fuel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and hey, as a TCU fan, there is really something to be said for a coach that finds his guys and can develop them, right, and build a team the way he wants to build it. And I'll tell you what, y'all have a dang good athletic director, a guy I was kind of hoping that we might swipe from you, but that didn't pan out. But do you think, because we're in a whole new era of college football here now, right? Now it's not just about developing guys, you got to also retain that talent. Do you feel like y'all have the NIL resources and a plan in place to retain those guys once you do develop them into those special players?
I think Rich Rod thinks he does. He said it himself, once again, leaning on what Rich Rod said. Like he said on Josh Pateso, we may not have the extra stuff that some other programs have, but we have what we need to get to the playoff. Let's just say that. He said win a national championship. Like I said, he said it unsolicited on multiple different fronts now, multiple different shows. Keeps bringing it up. I think it eats at him. I think it's his one thing, right? I mean, we all know what happened against Pitt, 13-9. We missed the national championship. We've got Pat McAfee and Ken Kendrick, the billionaire, backing him 100% into this, and I think he can get what he needs when he needs it. Evidenced by Jamoy Robinson, a guy that won the American Conference Defensive Player of the Year last year and was projected second-round pick in the NFL draft this year. They paid that guy, well, third round, but they paid that guy not to go anywhere. They got a Michael Coates Jr. who was supposed to go visit Ole Miss, and the rumor is that they paid him not to do that too. They said, hey, why don't you just not go to Ole Miss and stay here? And they've done that over and over again with different guys. So I have no doubts. I think that it's going to be interesting to see the way it plays out, because I did a show yesterday on outside of the $20.5 million. What's that look like for every program? How stringent are they on those deals? Because if we're talking about everybody's playing within a cap, I believe that Rich Rodriguez will be great there. They've already adopted an NFL model. They're going to be able to spend to the limit on the cap every year. They've already added $250 per student per year at the school for an extra $6.5 million a year in revenue to add to that 20.5. So, it's just, you're talking about boosters and outside influences. How much of an advantage do other teams have above us at that point? I think that will be where the question is ultimately answered.
Yep. I mean, Paul said it well. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Paul said it well. I agree with him. I mean, I think they've got what it takes. Again, West Virginia's a school that's always going to have to punch a little bit above their weight class, but that's kind of the whole Big 12 conferences, with the exception of a couple of schools, are kind of in that same boat. I mean, every school in this conference is going to have to do that. And I think West Virginia is sitting in a good spot to do that within the conference they're in, and should be able to compete year in, year out in that conference.
Yes, great answer. So I just put this question from Stormy Cyclone just up here on the screen. It's specifically for UCUs, but Paul, you can of course answer it as well. The term retread getting thrown around with regard to Rich Rod. We've got Scott Frost going back to UCF, Rich Rod going back to West Virginia. Stormy Cyclone wants to know, do you feel like that term is a little bit disrespectful with regard to Rich Rodriguez? What do you think about that?
I don't think it's disrespectful. I mean, I don't really look at it as being disrespectful, to be honest. I probably used it myself, to be honest. It's just a general term. I guess it depends on the context in which they're using it. But I don't look at it as disrespectful personally, just that term itself.
Yeah, I think because of the connotation associated with the retread, I could see how somebody would, because it's used as a negative term now, right? Retread hire. Like it's, when people say that, I automatically think it's not going to work. And like Koo said in the open, the reason it's different, I'll give a couple different reasons. I think for one, how many of these retreads were as successful as Rich Rodriguez in their first stint that haven't worked the second time around? Not many. Maybe Bill Snyder was he was definitely more successful his first time, but I think Bill Snyder's the closest thing we've come to a successful second stint, right? But nobody's had to do this in this era. Nobody yet, right? We're just now seeing it for the first time. There's only been 7 or 8 ever. So, with that, so it's really not a great big sample size. You say retreads never work in football, but there's not been enough of them to really actually definitively say that if you were doing a case study or something. So while that may be true, I just think in the portal era that you can't say what's going to work or what won't work, because things aren't the same. Teams aren't built over 4 years or 6 years like they were before. So.
And another thing to compare to the ones Mark was talking about in his show today, the Bill Snyders, the Mac Browns, most of those guys, not all of them, most of them set out of coaching for several years before they went back. Rich Rod only was out of coaching, if I'm not mistaken, 1 year before he got back in as a coordinator or in some position on a staff somewhere, whether it be a head coach or coordinator. He was in an analyst for a year somewhere. I think it was Hawaii. So, I mean, he's been in coaching with the exception of, I think, one season. So he didn't lose, he didn't have to worry about wearing the rust off or whatever. I mean, because I'm sure that can happen with coaches like any other job. He never got out of it. And the one year he was out of it, he was on TV. So I just, and again, most of those coaches can't claim the level of offensive success. I mean, he basically invented an offense, okay, that is now used throughout college football and even pro football now.
Urban Meyer just admitted that with him on the show,
Correct.
2 weeks ago?
Yeah. I mean, he's been called the Athletic the other day called him the godfather of the zone read offense. What other coach on that list can say that? I don't know of one. Chip Kelly used to go for him to learn about it. And then Chip Kelly ended up taking that to a national championship game and then on to the NFL. I mean, most of the coaches on that quote-unquote retread list don't have the pedigree, in my opinion, at least on the offensive side of the ball, that Rich Rod has, and I think that can separate him from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, those are great points, y'all. I mean, because it's very situationally when you're looking at these other retread hires, like this isn't a situation where this is a guy who retired or he's a guy who got fired. Some TCU fans are like, we should bring back Gary Patterson. Like, well, we let him go for a reason, or like Scott Frost, who, yes, he was hired away by a big brand name, but he's struggled mightily ever since then. Rich Rod was hired away by a big brand name, and with the exception of that Michigan stint, which, I mean, you said it, Goose, he didn't quite get enough time to actually build something.
Less than 3 years.
He's been really successful everywhere,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like if you're sitting there with the West Virginia hat on, like, there's no reason to believe, why can't he come back and build this thing again? And Paul, you were talking about culture change before we started recording. Me and Goose were talking about the thing that's been all around social media. Oh my gosh, Rich Rod has banned TikTok. What do you think about that decision and any other culture changes that Rich Rod is implementing at West Virginia to turn him into a winner again?
I think, the banning the TikTok dancing thing, it's so specific, right? It's not that we can't be on TikTok, and it's not even that you can't really dance on TikTok. Well, he doesn't want you to dance on TikTok, but specifically it's like a locker room thing. Like, apparently he's looking at it as some players came to him and said, hey, I was changing and a guy's dancing here, right? And I think that's how he's approaching it. Also, with the hard edge motto that he has adopted, which is repeated as anything I can remember, as much as Trust the Climb was with Neil Brown, at least. It's mentioned in every interview, every segment that every coach does, every player does. Hard edge, hard edge, hard edge. And all that is a style of coaching that Rich Rod has, right? We asked the question earlier, what does Rich Rod look like in camp settings now that things have changed? Is he softer? Is he easier to deal with? No. These kids are coming in. He's screaming at them. He's yelling at them, and he's telling them to their face openly. They've got this recorded, I think. If you don't like to be coached like this, we don't want you anyway. And that's just how he is. Yep. Why he didn't work at Michigan, by the way. The main reason he didn't work at Michigan was because of how hard of a coach he is on players. These 5-star kids had options. Yeah. So to your point, though, as far as culture, the TikTok ban thing is hilarious, but it's also he doesn't care. Because if you don't want to be coached hard and want football to be first, he doesn't want you anyway. That's the truth. It's really as hard line as you can be about it. But that's how he is. And they say he's as intense of a person as anybody's ever met. Like I've asked probably 20 players this offseason about that. I say, is he really as intense as we all hear? They said, yeah, he's super intense guy that's literally obsessed with football, as a lot of coaches are. I'm not saying it's unique to him, but are we going to win the national championship or anything like that? I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying I have way more hope than I ever could have under Neil Brown, unfortunately. And, like I said earlier too, I hate to keep comparing the two, but they're right one from end to the other. So we're coming from that into this, and it's just so different. The players are expecting to win now. That's the culture. I think they weren't before. I think they were, Jamori Robinson, like I said yesterday on Voice of Morgantown show, he said, I don't know what the number is. Well, you want me to say 11-1, 12-0? Like, that's what he was saying. Like, that's their expectation. Whether it actually happens or not, that's what they believe. I think that's a culture change.
That belief is half the battle, truly. Well, and y'all have been talking about a lot about these defensive players, this defense that you're excited about. Give me a window into what to expect from this West Virginia defense. How dominant could it be?
I don't know that I'll use the word dominant. I don't like to use, at least not yet. I think it can be going forward. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be hard to figure out. It's going to be multiple. It's very, when you hear Zach Alley talk, man, it's basically like it's if you closed your eyes, you would almost think it was Brent Venables talking to you. It's like if you took Bob Stoops and Brent Venables and cloned them together, a Zach Alley appears. I mean, it's that hearing him talk. And he was brought up under Brent Venables, so he's got that Brent Venables mentality, right? He may even need his own get back coach. They were joking about that the other day on a show, but I mean, he's young, he's enthusiastic, he has a ton of energy. His players feed off of that energy, and he's not going to be a guy who's set in a 3 down front, 4 down front, whatever. They will actually switch it up week to week based on the team they're playing. I don't know a whole lot of defensive coordinators who do that, honestly. I mean, you think it would be hard to learn for guys to change defenses every week. But from everything I've heard about him, I've talked to a lot of Oklahoma podcasters and fans. They say the way he teaches defense, he's very good at teaching it. He's a great teacher, and he makes it easy to understand. So he can be a little bit more multiple. He can switch things up because he can do it in a way that's not complicated and not hard for the guys to figure out. And without naming names, I think as West Virginia fans, we can all look back in the recent past and be like, this defense didn't know what the heck was going on. They looked lost a lot of times. And I don't think it was the players' fault, to be honest with you. I don't know that the teaching, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what was going on, but there were a lot of times, man, they were not in the right position. They missed assignments. They were not even lined up properly. I don't know how many times we heard that in press conferences. How can you be a Power 4 football coach and not have your guys lined up properly? I mean, it's maddening. But anyway, I'm all done with my rant, but I think you can expect a very aggressive defense, more aggressive than you've seen in quite some time in Morgantown.
So Zach Alley, obviously, he's been a head coach a defensive coordinator since he was 27 years old. You know, that was in 2021. He's been doing this for a little while. And if you look at some of his defenses, number one, he spent 7 years with Brent Venables at Clemson and was there literally. He was there when we won 70-33 against Clemson in the Orange Bowl, which is, most people agree, is the genesis of the Clemson that came up with Dabo Swinney 2012 on. He was there for that and saw that was the year Coach Venables came in because they fired that defensive coordinator. He watched it all happen and learned along with Brent Venables. Then, obviously, after a very successful stint at Jacksonville State with Rich Rod, where he brought him in and it proved to be fruitful after Rich Rod saw how good this kid was at Louisiana Monroe after he came over from Boise. He said, okay, I want him from Oklahoma. And if you look at what he did in 23 and 24, let's just go there. Both, Oklahoma, as bad as they were last year, they were 19th in total defense, 11th in rushing, 30th in scoring defense. They were 3rd in defensive touchdowns, 5th in fumbles recovered, 10th in team tackles for loss, 11th in first downs, 23rd in sacks. In 2023, you were 33rd on Jacksonville State, 33rd in scoring defense, 43rd in total defense, 15th in rushing defense, 4th in opponent yards per rush. They had 10th in interceptions with 16. They were 13th in sacks per game. Like, this is a very, very aggressive defense that I think is close to what Heacock runs there at Iowa State. It's a very similar defense with 3 safeties. And we have been just absolutely scooping up. I don't know how many DBs we brought in. It seems like probably 15 over the course of the last few months. And a couple of them are extremely good. It's going to be the best nickel room I've ever seen West Virginia have in 10 years, at least. They've got guys that on the defensive side, nobody really knows about yet because they haven't played together yet. But we've talked about Michael Coach Jr., a guy that Mike Gola Jr. said, listen, when I watched him play, he shut half the field down. He unsolicited made a tweet about him when we signed him for whatever reason. I love this kid, he said. And we talked about Jamoy Robinson, who was the American Conference Player of the Year. We returned the entire defensive line group, and we've signed 2 really good linebackers who I think are going to be pretty good. Point is I really like our defense this year. I don't know in year one, you never know. It's kind of a crapshoot, but I do think that based on his past, based on those previous defenses, you look at that was his first year calling plays at Oklahoma last year, and I ran through the numbers. So I mean, they were very good in his first year. They went up 20 spots in almost every category from Venables to Alley. So I think we're going to be all right.
The potential is exciting.
I agree.
Well, but if we're talking about Rich Rod, we got to talk about offense. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pieces that West Virginia has to replace. Y'all lost a lot of offensive linemen. You lost Garrett Green at quarterback.
Yep.
Who's going to play that quarterback position? What's this offense going to look like? What should we expect in year one of Rich Rod?
I mean, the quarterback position is truly a 50-50 toss-up at this point between Jalen Henderson, the transfer from A&M, and Nico Markiel. Most of the quote-unquote experts are picking Nico to be the starter. I'm not ready to do that yet, man. Do not count Jalen Henderson out. The cat can flat out run it. He's a better thrower than I think people get. Look, Jimbo Fisher spotted this kid, the young man, as a talented quarterback for some reason. Jimbo Fisher's same guy that spotted Jameis Winston, okay? He won a national title with Jameis Winston. Did he not? He saw something in Jalen Henderson, so he must be pretty darn good. Rich Rod, another guy who's been pretty good at having good quarterbacks, spotted him. They also see a lot of Nico Markiel. And Phil Steele's latest magazine, even though he didn't pick West Virginia to finish very high, he did have this to say. Or actually, there was a quote in there from when he interviewed Rich Rod. Rich Rod said this might be the deepest quarterback room he's ever had, ever in his career. That says something to me. It's the only position he did not go out and get a guy in this past portal window, the spring portal window. Mm-hmm. Only position. They even got 2 running backs. And they had Jaheim White in that room, right? Because he was confident in not only who he has as his potential starters, but even in the depth in that room. So I feel really good about it. Whether it's Nico or Jalen Henderson, I trust Rich Rod to make the right decision there. I think either guy can run the offense, and I think either one can be successful for that spot. And as far as what was your other – was that – I don't even remember.
You mentioned offensive line as well.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
You replacing receivers, offensive line.
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned about the O-line. I'm very worried about the O-line. It's really the only position on the field on the team I'm worried about, to be honest. They lost everybody. Their top 8 guys gone, whether either portal or graduation. A lot of the guys they're replacing them with have very little experience. They do have a few experienced guys coming in, but it's at a lower level for the most part. The P4 transfers they got were mostly backups at bigger schools. They're very talented, but how will they gel together as a unit? That's the huge question. If the offensive line can gel and be good by week 3 of the season, I feel like this offense can put up a bunch of points.
Yeah. I had Jalen on the show, Henderson. Had him on the show and got to meet with him and stuff. I really like Jalen a lot. Great family. And I mean that. Really great family that expects him to be great. The thing about Jalen Henderson is this. Kuz kind of touched on it. Jimbo Fisher spotted him at Fresno State. The crazy thing about it is, name a time you've ever seen a player transfer up to another school that hadn't played on the other team before. He didn't even play at Fresno State. He was the backup. And he said, "Oh yeah, I want that kid." And then he came up to Texas A&M and was really good in the 7 games that he started until he had a humerus fracture. So he's got tape out there now and was pretty good at A&M. But yeah, I've said since the beginning too, Kuz, like, I don't count Jalen Henderson out at all, but I also won't count out Nico. Same thing. He's a 4-star kid, right? But anyway, so. I don't know how good either one of those guys are going to be overall at the end of the day, but like he said, since we didn't bring anybody in, That's a good sign. On the offensive line, there's a ton of guys. You know, they brought in a ton of guys. We thought we had some starters pre-spring. Post-spring, they brought in another 7 or 8 offensive linemen, which tells us they must not have been very good in the spring or something, right? I don't know. That's the only way I could read into it. You get Carson Lee, you get a Walter Young-Bear, a Kimo Makaniole, a Tykees Crawford, a Michael Clay. Like, they brought in a ton of dudes. Malik Agbo, Donovan Haslam, you know, all from different levels. 4 guys from the SEC, though, you know, that were either backups or Agbo was the 6th guy on a Texas team. So I feel pretty good about him. But I mean, there's no gel yet. Like he said, we don't know what they're going to look like. I won't go through every position room because I tend to do that when I get to rambling. But there's a lot of unknowns on this offense. I go back to last year at Jack State again. You know, they put 60 new players on that team. Their running back was a Division II running back out of Limestone College named Trey Stewart, who finished 3rd in the country in the rushing. They had some offensive linemen returning. A couple of those guys went to P5 this year that West Virginia whiffed on. They tried to get them. For whatever reason, they did not. Will Osteen and another guy went to Arizona, I think. So, you know, they missed on a couple of guys I think they wanted, but I think they got a couple of guys as well. I'm really confident in the receiver room. I like what we brought in there. So I'm kind of with Kuz in that I think they'll figure it out. I don't know how quick it's going to happen. We've got a 2-game stretch, you know, that starts the season versus Ohio and Robert Morris to do that, and then it's the backyard brawl. So by week 3, they've got to have some things figured out. They started 0-3 last year at Jack State, and then they won the conference. They won out. They basically won out except for 1 game. So, you know, Rich Rod said he's changed some things up, learned from that scenario. So maybe he can help him out a little bit. I don't know. But offensively, I think this is going to be a work in progress. It's just so also new. I wouldn't surprise to see us, you know, maybe start out, you know, 2-1 or something like that. You know, I think maybe the Pitt loss could come. But I'm not going to pick us to lose the Pitt, but I'm saying it's one of those things that could happen as a result of all this newness. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, though, Clint.
All right, well, we're going to look at that schedule here in just a second. But first, quick word from the boss man.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
All right, so Paul, you were saying you wouldn't be surprised with a 2-1 start, but let's look at this whole schedule here. As you take a bird's eye view approach, what are your overall expectations? Do you see West Virginia making a bowl game again? I mean, I feel like that's bare minimum expectation. What are you thinking, gentlemen?
You want me to keep going since I started already?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. I think it's tough, really. This is a crazy schedule this year. But to be honest, it's way easier than what we've been having. We've been playing 2 Power 5 teams, right, to start. So I think, innately it's easier because of the Robert Morris and Ohio games, because Ohio, I've talked to a few of their guys. They've had, a lot of people don't know, but Ohio's had 3 straight double-digit win seasons, 3-10 or more, right? Mm. So, I was worried, is this going to be another one of those teams where they lost their coach?
State last year.
Yeah, they lost their coach. They lost a bunch of guys, right? So they don't expect them to be as good as they have been, but who knows, that culture could still be around. I wouldn't look past the Bobcats, and they've got a really weird small stadium. But without breaking down every single team, I think overall, I think West Virginia can make some hay early, because I think I'm not too worried about Kansas. I know some people are. I just don't know what they're going to be year to year. I think Utah is making just as big of an adjustment as we are outside of the coaching. BYU is going to be really good, but they lost their quarterback now, so that opens up a little bit. UCF is one of those sleepers. Obviously, you guys, Hoover's probably one of the most unsung quarterbacks in the entire country that nobody talks about.
Frankie Paul.
Literally, Houston is a squad that, I love Fritz. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think that they're going to be good enough in year 2 to beat us in year 1. I just don't. Historically, we're just a better, I'm just going to go with us until further notice. Colorado is, they could be a 10-win team. They could be a 5-win team. You just don't know there. Arizona State scares the dickens out of me, and I got to see it from Joey McGuire and Texas Tech, money or not. So, I think this sets up for a 7-ish feeling kind of year with the potential for more if they figure it out. But if you put a gun to my head right now and said pick it, I'd say probably 7 or 8 wins at the very most. I would pick right now. We haven't had summer yet, so I haven't got enough data to really go on something. But as it sits right now, I'm saying we're gonna play in a bowl game. I have no doubt because of that early schedule. There's no way. I don't think there's any way we lose the backyard brawl with it be going away for a couple years after this year, and it being played on 9/13 after we lost 13-9 to not go to the national championship game. Fate has intervened here for that one.
I did not even think about that. I love that, Paul. Goose, you're on mute.
My bad.
Yeah.
And that was Rich Rod's last game as a Mountaineer coach too, which is so ironic. But anyway, I mean, I could just say ditto and move on, but I won't. I mean, what strikes me about the schedule, only once all year do they have back-to-back away games, and there's a bye week in between. That's when they go at BYU and at UCF, and that BYU game is actually a Friday night game.
That's
but, a lot of people I've heard a lot of pundits look at West Virginia's schedule and say, this schedule is not very hard. And yes, we don't have the 2 Power 4s in non-con this year. We don't have the Penn State or the Virginia Tech or Maryland.
God.
Yeah, but I actually think our Big 12 schedule, at least on paper, is pretty darn tough.
Yeah.
BYU,
You do avoid Kansas State, and you avoid Iowa State.
We do, but I also think so. And that's a great point. And we avoid Baylor. So maybe I'm being. I don't know. I just think the Big 12 is going to be really good this year.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The last 3 games are brutal.
Big 12.
Yeah, I mean Texas Tech. Everybody's picking them to be the gods of college football this year. At Arizona State, I mean, yes, they don't have Cam Scadaboo, but man, they got Sam Levitt back, Jordan Tyson back. Kenny Dillingham was a heck of a football coach, and that's an away game, which kind of worries me a little bit.
A long away game too.
The TCU game again worries me. The BYU, Utah. The one reason Kansas does worry me a little bit, though, is it's their very first Big 12 game in their brand new stadium. And they're going to be up for that game. And that worries me a little bit. So we got a little bit of bad luck on our side on that one, bad luck of the draw, so to speak. But other than, I think Utah, I think Kyle Whittingham will get those guys back to playing good football again this year, especially on defense. So, yeah, I think it's a tough schedule, but I do see at least a bowl team, especially when you consider the G6 and the FCS team on the schedule. That should be 2 wins. Sure to goodness they can find 4 more wins somewhere on that schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We're not 16th. I'll tell you that much. I'll bet money on that right now. We've been picked 14th and 16th and 13th or something in another magazine. But Iowa State was picked 16th last year. So
Kelly Ford today said we were going to win 2.5 Big 12 games this year. In his rating system.
I feel like with a lot of these games, you could talk yourself into a win or a loss.
Correct. But that's the whole conference, though. That's the thing. Yeah. That's just the Big 12 in a nutshell.
Yeah, and the reality is there's just so much unknown about West Virginia right now, specifically from the offense, right? But yeah, just if you look at like Arizona State, BYU, those really worry me. UCF feels like a dumb one that you would even as a TCU fan, I'm like, that's like I would not want to play at UCF. That's like a team you should beat that like you would probably lose.
Tough stadium.
Because and yeah, you mentioned Kansas's first game in the new stadium. Who the heck knows what Utah's going to be? I do think TCU is going to be a lot better this year, but we historically don't play well in Morgantown.
Right.
So there's that. And then I think Willie Fritz, I think Houston's heading in the right direction. They took us absolutely to school last year in our home stadium. and we all remember 2 years ago that crazy game with Dana Holgerson still at the helm
Mhm.
down there in Houston.
That would
So
hurt.
yeah, it's there's a whole lot of different ways this could go. And it's
You have any
gonna be
thoughts
very
on the
interesting.
Pitt game yourself?
I hope y'all win. That's about my only thought. I hope y'all kick their
Yeah.
butt. This is a pro eat poop pit podcast. Absolutely.
There's some rumblings that could be on that could be a college game day game if everything
should
goes
be.
right. Yeah.
It should be. I mean, for God's sake,
McAfee's going to push for it.
we're doing everything we can to eliminate regional rivalries and historic sports hatred, and it's the dumbest. I'm like, this is literally why we all love this sport, and we're trying to get rid of it. So, but
Yeah, and it's the last time they played for like 3 or 4 years too. So
yeah,
it's going to be a wild day in Morgantown. I can tell you that.
some burning couches with any luck, and
But Pitt,
biscuits and moonshine.
but I ain't gonna lie, Pitt could be scary good this year, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I'm curious, gentlemen. I do agree with you that it's wrong to pick West Virginia last, but I'm curious who you think is going to end up being the worst team in the Big 12 now.
Go ahead, Paul.
That's a tough one to pull out on. There's a couple of teams really that I could say possibly are going to be. Can I say I wish it was Colorado and just move on?
I'd be okay with that.
Or
I think a lot
I
of
wish
people
it
would be
was
okay with
Utah. Honestly,
that. Yeah,
I do
Utah.
think,
That's what we want.
I think Utah's got a chance to be bad again. I really do. I've looked into them a bit this offseason, but their coach has been so good over time that it would be not fair to do. But I mean, I'm going to pick Arizona. If you're going to put a gun to my head, I'll pick Arizona for now.
Yeah, I think it'll be between Arizona and I'm not sold on even though we talk about retreads. I'm the Scott Frost decision to me is still a little bit strange. I know some people are going to say, "Why? Because you guys are bringing back Rich Rod." I just think it's apples and oranges.
Yeah, truly.
But I'm kind of scratching my head on that one. I'm still not sold that was the right move for them, and they are also having a ton of roster turnover too. So I think it's going to be between UCF and Arizona. I'm not a huge Scott Satterfield guy either at Cincinnati, but I think they've got enough talent on that roster.
They got a good quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, great, really good quarterback. Corleone, I think's back. I think Coy Connor, is he back? I think he might be. I can't remember. But anyway, I know they got
a lot of preview shows. I can't remember.
But anyway, and with the portal, man, I can't keep track. But anyway,
Yeah.
They've got a lot of talent coming back, and so I think that'll keep them at least treading water, and probably get them to a bowl game, even if despite Scatterfield, because I'm just not a huge fan of his. But yeah, I'm going to say it's between UCF and Arizona right now.
Okay, so opposite end of the spectrum. Last question for you. I'm asking everybody, who's going to be in Arlington playing for the championship?
That's a fun question. I'll go with. It's tough. I almost want to go chalk, and say something like Kansas State and Arizona State or something crazy like that. But let's go wild card, and let's say I'm going to say Mike Gundy turns it around this year and gets the Pokes back in there against Arizona State.
Okay.
I just
Cody, I hope
Mike
you heard
Gundy.
that.
I'm going to go with BYU. I think BYU is going to be good again because of their defense. I think Jay Hill there is doing a phenomenal job on the defense. And then I'm going to go with Kansas State. I want to say K-State, BYU in the title game at Arlington.
I could see both of those. I
have very, very little confidence in that prediction.
I just think nobody knows how good Hoss Haney is. You do.
Yeah.
Would you be shocked if Hoss Haney was Offensive Player of the Year even? I mean, he's that good.
Well,
in year one, maybe not.
The interesting thing is that, we had our Oklahoma State show just a few weeks ago, and it's really not necessarily looking like it's going to be Hoss Haney's job as the wild thing.
Really?
There's other quarterbacks that have their name very much in the ring, and Hoss maybe he may be doing the same thing he was doing at TCU this past year, where he's coming in situationally to run the ball. But
Wow.
yeah, he's got a very bright future ahead. That's for dang sure. He's a very,
Not
very
he's still
athletic.
young. I guess we have Cody on.
West Virginia was going after him, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
We did take a swing there, but I don't know how serious it was.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I would love to say West Virginia in that game, but then that would just be too homer, you know.
I started to say TCU,
the first
but
3 games.
I started to say TCU, but I didn't want to sound like coming off.
I thought the same thing.
They'll just think I'm kissing Clint's butt, so I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I was saying for the longest time, TCU Baylor, right? Because
Baylor's
the
a
hatred in
sleeper.
the
People
hatred
forget
in
about
that
Baylor,
building
man.
would feed families. But if we're talking about hatred feeding families, and something that would be
DFW
an even
area
better
for
narrative
sure.
choice is Tech TCU, because then you've got 2 polar opposite ways of looking at NIL playing in the championship game. Right, you got a team that's all about developing and retaining talent, and a team that's just, okay, who's the biggest 5-star name that we can find? Let's just go pay him all the money he can carry, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
There's a part of me, even though I have mad respect for Texas Tech fans and that program, there's a part of me that wants them to be bad this year.
Yeah,
I don't want to see a team buy a championship.
yeah,
But-
for sure.
But that's just unfortunately the era we're in. That's kind of what everybody's trying to do, right? So
Yeah.
I guess it's hard to throw stones at them, but I would rather see a team win it. And again, you know, I know everybody West Virginia bringing in 50 transfers, yeah, but that's different. It's year one of a coach, and it's, you know, changing a culture, and and trust me, West Virginia.
Look where they came from.
Yeah, exactly. West Virginia doesn't have Texas Tech money. I can promise you that. But I just, there's a part of me that wants them to be a mediocre football team and not make it to Arlington.
We call them Sand Aggies for a reason. And you know
It's
what?
not
Oil men in Texas have been trying to buy championships for as long as we've had football. Okay, if you've heard about a little thing called the Southwest Conference. it's been
Somewhere
happening
Jerry
for a while.
Jones just said, somebody talking about me?
Yeah, hey, can you do a better
His ears are
job,
burning.
Jerry? For God's sake, man, golly.
His ears are burning.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for jumping on and talking Mountaineers with me. Tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Couz's Corner on YouTube. I cover West Virginia Mountaineers, a little Big 12 talk at Couz 206 on X, and I'm at Couz's Corner on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Yeah, I'm at Locked On West Virginia, and making a quick announcement if you don't mind. Can I promote something?
Go for it, yeah.
Tomorrow, I just finalized right before we get on here. I will have Coach Mark Kellogg on tomorrow, the women's basketball coach, for an interview. Unfortunately, his daughter just had an injury, the number 1 player in our state, and so through some tweets, I made a tweet, and he reached out to me over. So it's been cool. I haven't had any of the head coaches on yet, so this will be great. And it'll be on Locked On West Virginia tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Right on. Be sure to check out both of these guys' shows. They do really great work. That's the reason I have
Couz
them
does
on.
amazing work. Really
And by the
does.
way, I do have a web. I always forget to plug my website, but it's wvsportschat.com.
Perfect. Yeah, check it out, folks. And please do subscribe to the show. at
Golden
Big
Blue
Blue
Breakdown.
CFC. Yes, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Clint_Foster55, and my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Creations. Find us wherever you find your podcasts. Follow the Voice of College Football. Do all of the things. Next week, I don't know, maybe it'll be Kansas week. Maybe it'll be Utah week. We're going to figure it out. But either way, until then, I love you. I hope your team wins. And go Big 12. We'll see you
Two
around.
country roads, baby.
Q Country Road.